Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to another video. So today we are doing a speed build for the Disney save, and I know last time I talked to you guys I actually said that the next video would not be a Disney save video. However, I got into this one and I've been working on this for days, which is kind of why there's been a lack of videos this week. Last week I was able to upload literally like 5 videos, and this week I think it's going to be a little bit less because this was a really long speed build. I think I have 9 or 10 hours into this, and as you'll notice, this video is rather long, so I do apologize for that, but I have cut down pretty much as I feel like I should. I want to make sure I do as much of the exterior and the interior and get a chance to talk about everything, so it is going to be a little bit of a longer video today. You could probably expect that for a lot of mansion builds in the future when we do mansions for the Disney save, castles as well. Probably just going to be a little bit longer than like a small bookstore. So this video was actually supposed to go out on Saturday, and I was going to do a different speed build in between to break this up, do something a little bit different from the Disney save, and I think I'm actually going to reverse them because this one just took me so much longer than I predicted that it was going to. So that speed build will probably be out Monday, and then we're going to have a bonus video on Sunday because this is a residential build, which means we have to do a Create-A-Sim to go with it. And this one's a little bit more exciting than my previous Create-A-Sim. Not that Eudora and James aren't exciting characters, but doing a Disney princess is pretty big for me in my save file. I love Disney princesses, and they're going to be a huge part of the save. So getting to finally create Tiana and Naveen after all of the builds that I've done for the Princess and the Frog is really exciting. So you can expect that Create-A-Sim video out on Sunday, and then we will probably have a different build the following Monday, and it'll be a fantasy build because a lot of you have requested that I go back to doing something a little bit wacky, something that like Realm of Magic-esque, or just something really interesting, not your typical house, which a lot of what I've been building for the Disney save is very non-typical, but I feel like I haven't done like a standard home in a really long time, or a standard fantasy home, I guess. One of my standard homes, because we all know I don't really build like your casual catalog book home, cute little family home. I'm more of like a floating home or a underwater home type of person. So I'm gonna try and do that. I found a reference photo that I'm really excited about, and it made me want to build. So we're gonna do that, and it will be outside of the Disney save for a few days, but I feel like that's okay. I'm also probably gonna be starting a new Let's Play of a game that is not Sims related, and I hope a lot of you are going to enjoy it anyway. I actually already had episode 1 recorded and ready to go, and it was supposed to go up this week, but it corrupted as usual. That usually happens with my episode 1s. I don't know why I have the hardest time getting a Let's Play going. I'm never able to like quite get it out, and then once I get it out, it usually flows pretty well. But yeah, I had an issue with it. It corrupted. I'm not really sure what's going on, so I have to re-record, which is always a fun thing to do. But that'll be fun. It'll kind of break up our week. It will be a little bit of a break from me for like doing Sims videos and all of that, so I'm excited to launch that as well. But to talk a little bit about the actual build here today, so I was really excited to find out that Tiana's mansion is not only real, but there is quite a bit of reference for it. So in the beginning of the movie, you get to see Tiana's house, and it is rather small. I've already built that home for Eudora and James, and you never get to see if when her father passes, if that's where she's still living. For some reason in my head, I just assumed that her and her mother didn't live there anymore, or she didn't live with her mother, because that's not clear either. It never shows the two of them in a house together, so maybe the mom lives in the original home and Tiana has her own home, and I don't remember them showing the outside of that home or confirming that in any way. I could be completely wrong on that. However, I figure, as most people will, when you get married and you potentially move in with your significant other, you will probably change your home. So I knew I wanted to have a special little place for Naveen and Tiana, and I was pretty sure right off the bat that I was going to do a Louisiana style mansion with like little hints of green here and there. But it's always really nice to see it and to see something that I can use as reference. So just on a whim, I decided to Google Tiana's home, And Disney actually had like a game that they used to have on like their Disney Channel website that was about Tiana and her house and her restaurant and stuff, and you could go into her life. It was like some kind of game that you could play. And the cover for it was Tiana standing in front of this beautiful green Louisiana mansion. And the more I looked into it, the more I realized that that was canonly her home in whatever games Disney had created. So there was quite a bit of reference for it. I don't know if there were like shorts done, like maybe Tiana had some sequel movies that I'm not aware of, or Disney shorts or whatever, where they do like the holiday Disney princess movies. I didn't know if maybe she had been included in one of those or whatever, but it was really cool because it meant that Disney had an official artwork of what they would have wanted her future home to look like, and it is exactly what I wanted for reference. Even better, I think that it's beautiful, and it's definitely something I wouldn't have personally built, like all of those little intricate details and fun embellishments on the home without having that cool reference. So there was 3 references. They were all a little bit varying from one another, but I decided to stick with the one that had like the highest quality photos so that I could really get in for some details. And of course, I obviously changed it to whatever was appropriate for the game, whatever I felt like I could really add something to it by giving it a little bit more. So in the photo, it was actually a 2-story Louisiana mansion with this beautiful like deck that came out over the side stairs. There was 2 entrances, and then a really interesting roofing structure, really beautiful little fencing and embellishments and intricate like little details all over the place. So I really wanted to capture that. However, the roofing like wasn't really working for me, and I felt like I wasn't getting the full style and feel of the home. So I did decide to add a 3rd floor, and because of the way that I've done the roofing, the 3rd floor is actually inaccessible. We've had this glitch in The Sims for a really long time, and I have found people who say like, do this and it fixes it, but it doesn't work on every one of my builds. I'm not sure if it's my game. I have recently uninstalled and reinstalled my Sims, and I still have this problem, and I've had people or seen people on Twitter like complaining that this is still an issue. So I'm not sure what else to do at this point, but basically there's this glitch where if you draw a roof over a room, it's supposed to delete that roof within the room. Anywhere where it's inside a closed room, there should be no roofing, but it doesn't. It will stay, and there's pretty much nothing you can do about it. They suggest that you redo the room, redo the floor, redo the roof, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Leave the lot, save the game, all the normal stuff. And for this build, I couldn't get it to go away, which just basically meant that the very top floor was inaccessible. I didn't really mind that because I knew that this was going to be a long furnish. And it's one of the reasons that on the regular, I don't typically do like a large build mansion style, because I hate how long interiors take. I'm so intricate and I love my details, and I love making sure that everything is right and has a place. And I literally will spend forever furnishing a place like this. So a 3-story mansion to me says at least 5 bedrooms, at least. Probably more for most people, but I tend to make my bedrooms like particularly large. So I was not excited to furnish that at all, and having the roof kind of come into the top of it, it did take away the fact that I had to furnish, so I didn't really mind, and I feel like it leaves something there for those of you who maybe want to expand her home, because you could download this off of the gallery and have that glitch not happen in your game, and then you'll have like a complete upper floor that's a little bit empty, which I am kind of annoyed about because I obviously want everything to feel complete and be complete in my Disney save. So maybe at some point, if they finish the glitch down the line, I can go back and update this house. And that's why the website that I feel like I'm going to do for the Disney save is really going to come in handy, because when a build gets an update, whether it's a new pack that we received and I'm able to add some extra stuff to the home, or an update that I can do something different that I originally wanted, and I can put out like a new version, I'll be able to put that on the website and show you guys and explain what the differences between the 2 houses are, which is something you can't really do on the gallery. Basically, I would have to take this home down and re-upload a new one, which is bad for me because I lose my downloads on that if that's the case. But I also, everybody who originally had it will never be notified in any way that there was like a change made to the house. house or any kind of like update to it. So it is not the best system. I don't really love the way that the gallery works, but I've talked about that a lot before. So I'm really thinking that doing a website and having all of the builds and being able for, if you have any questions about them specifically, like if something for you is not working, instead of trying to go to the gallery to figure out if other people are having the same issues with it, you can go and see if there's been like an update made to it. Like if a lot of people are talking about something specifically not working, because that does happen. I'll play test something in my game and people will put it in their game and they'll be like, this doesn't work. And it's not something that I can always fix, but if I can make a change or make a suggestion to fix it, then maybe that would be like a really good place to have all of that information. So that's something that's sort of coming down the line. I am trying to figure out how I want to do it, what I want to do with it. So you can expect that I'll talk about that a little bit more once we get deeper into the save file. I feel like this is just the beginning, so it feels a little bit weird to get the website up just yet. However, probably soon, because if I don't do it now, I never will. So, but actually, to get back to the build a little bit, you can see me having just the slightest bit of issues with the roofing and the fact that I tried to do curved walls, and curved walls are always difficult to use, or curved foundations rather, when you are going to be placing foundation and roofing together. They don't really go well together. They don't fit. There's not like a lot of roofing pieces that want to fit perfectly into a large rectangle with the curved edges. So I ended up doing this neat little trick that I don't think I've used this before, but I've known of this trick. I watch another creator named Kate Emerald, and she's an amazingly talented builder, especially for mansion builds. If you in particular are somebody who loves your mansions, I feel like that's mostly what she does. She does like incredible mansions, no custom content, like base game +1 packs and all pack builds, and they are like my favorite, in my opinion, like some of the best mansions available in the Sims community. And she is, I feel like one of her staples is to take these plain white column cubes. They're like the thing that you would put a statue on top of. And she'll use them a lot of times to line buildings or make it look like there are different splits in a wall. It's kind of hard to explain, but I've used them on the roof in areas where the roof wouldn't connect to the foundation fully, in order to make it feel really polished and kind of marked off. So on the very top level, you'll see it up top, and it works as almost like a half wall, but I have more control over how it's placed and the thickness of it and what it's actually covering up. So those are around the build in various spots where I felt like it would look really pretty. It adds more dimension to the build as well. It adds like this extra little bit of flair, and it's something where if you look at it, you're like, how did they do that? Because if you're a builder, you know that we don't have that particular item as like a thing. So for example, on the stairs, I've used them in ways to make it look like I've put like a really thick wall around the stairs, and that's not something that we have available in game. So in the beginning, when I saw her using that trick, I was like, oh my god, how did she do that? Like, I don't understand how she's making that look so polished and how she's giving herself extra walls and extra building heights that we don't have. Like, what is she doing? But I do watch her tutorials and stuff, and she explained like her use of them in a video once, and using them I think on like infinity pools and stuff. I can't remember the exact video. So I definitely recommend her. I think she's actually linked on my main YouTube channel as a channel that I watch. But that is where I gathered the information to use those around this build in places where the roof just wasn't connecting properly to the foundation, and also around the stairs. The stairs in the photo were really beautiful. They were like this split level stair, and they had a gorgeous thick walled trimming around the edge of it that hugged the stairs. And you would think that that's something that we have, but we really don't. We have one stone wall that you can put up against the stairs as like a railing, and it's really thin, and it comes in 3 colors that I kind of hate. One of them is supposed to be white, and it's more of like a cream color, so I didn't want to use that, and I decided to experiment a little bit. I did have to cover up the sides with some plants because there is a little bit of like that flashing glitch that you get when you merge too many items together, but from the top you really can't tell what's going on. It just looks like a solid piece, and I absolutely love it. So totally shout out and props to that trick. I watch tutorials all the time, especially I love Kate Emerald. I love watching, like, when I'm rolling through Twitter and someone says, I figured out this thing that I'm doing now, and they like show a little video. I love stuff like that because it just helps me so much to feel inspiration. So that is really, really cool. We're also using a lot of the hidden objects plants, the hanging plants that go all over the different levels, and some of the bayou trees and Louisiana willow trees and stuff like that. We have some really gorgeous ones in the hidden menus of the game that are like really big and take up a lot more space, and they also feel a lot more natural. For a big mansion like this, you would want to have something that is big and a little bit overwhelming, because if you have like this little tiny tree in the backyard, it just doesn't really go with the mansion as well. So there are a few trees that are optional, but I think I found a couple that are more like straight from the world that we're in. So Willow Creek obviously has like its own set of trees that they've used to decorate. So I tried to keep all of the trees obviously the same, but one of them is the huge, beautiful willow tree. Not too much in the backyard. I actually think I did cut the backyard footage, but I basically copy and pasted the little gazebo that I did in the front, moved it to the back in a different position, added like a pond and some gardening stuff, and made it more of like a table and chairs. Like you could go out, have a really nice cup of coffee in the morning or tea and a meal and come out and sit. And the lot directly behind this, you will actually be able to see, it's currently empty, but that is going to be Charlotte's mansion. And I did decide that hers would be a little bit bigger. They do show it in the movie, and I wanted to make sure I had the room for that one. Whereas this one, I felt like I could get away with changes on my own if I needed to make it just slightly smaller for the lot size. I think that this is maybe a 40 by 50 and the other one is a 50 by 50. So their houses are going to be right next to one another, and it'll be cool because it's kind of like a mansion district for Louisiana, having the two of them sort of back to back like that. But yeah, I feel like it does make sense for Charlotte's lot to be just slightly bigger, have a little bit more room. And the furnishing on that, oh my god, I'm already dreading it so much. I know that it is going to be a nightmare. So I don't know when I'm going to do that. I'm not feeling like doing it now because of this build. This one was just so much longer than I thought, and I thought I was going to be able to pull this one off and then do Charlotte's mansion back to back, but I actually think I'm going to move somewhere else and do something different. So I can get my momentum back up and probably do a mansion in a week or so. I'll feel a little bit better about it. And we are finally on to the interior. So yeah, that does pretty much round out the exterior. I did make a couple of slight changes for plants and fixing some of the columns and stuff, but I think that's it. The interior, I was thinking about a lot of things. I was thinking about the fact that Princess and the Frog takes place in the 1920s. So I'm trying to keep a sense of royalness to this that pertains to like the 1920s. It is like a really expensive mansion. It feels like it would have some lavish things in it. Like it feels like we might have like a grand piano in here, some beautiful dark wood flooring, some really interesting things in the house architecturally, but I'm also thinking about the fact that we don't necessarily have like a 1920s dedicated pack, so I have to use what we have, and that basically just means using what I feel like is appropriate. So there's not going to be anything crazy in here as far as like technology goes. Like I don't think there's a single TV or stereo or piece of workout equipment in this house. However, as far as like the kitchen goes and all of that, like anything appliance related, I'm not going to be too concerned about using something that isn't like 1920s-esque, because to be honest, we don't really have like an old oven. We have some stuff that looks a little bit more fantasy inspired, but not really what I'm looking for this build. So if you didn't pick up on it already, this is actually Tiana and Naveen's room. It has this really pretty grand window, and it is directly facing replacing something a little bit interesting about the home called the atrium. So I decided I wanted to have something in reference to the bayou and the movie and the frogs. And we do have these little frogs that are in tanks. And basically in the game, you would go around and like collect them. And when you bring them home, they go in a tank. And if you go in debug mode, you can pull them out. But I didn't want to just like cover their house in frogs. I also felt like the experience of being turned into a frog and going around the bayou, like you would have an appreciation for animals being free in that way. So I felt like it might be a little bit weird for her and Naveen to keep frogs in cages. That seems a little bit like it would be morbid to them in a way. However, I still really wanted this house to be something slightly different and just have something really interesting in it that was a shout out to the movie, besides the fact that it's like a Louisiana mansion, and besides obviously using like frog references and pops of green. So I decided to do something that it's probably a little bit modern for this actual house, but I really like this and I don't do it a lot. So right in the middle there, that little octagon is actually an atrium, and I don't think you can see it from this angle, but it's completely filled with plants, little frog stickers on the walls and on the floor, vines, leaves, trees, all sorts of stuff is going to go in there or is already in there, and it's sort of like glitching out because of the angle. And it connects the different rooms, so it is kind of like a way to see into the other rooms, but I feel like it's something that would be so cool. And obviously it is something that can be available in different people's houses, so I figured if you lived in like a really expensive house and it's something that she wanted, like Tiana or Naveen specifically requested to have it put in, maybe they got it done later after they bought the house and it was like updated that way. But it's a really cool little shout out to the movie, and I actually ended up using as like the main tree in the middle that goes all the way through the atrium, because it does go down to the bottom floor, so I needed like one tall skinny tree to go all the way through, is one of the like bayou style trees that we have available in the hidden catalog. So that is, I just love it. I don't know what you guys are going to think of it, but I thought it was super interesting, and I want all of these homes to feel so different. Like imagine at some point I'll probably build another mansion, and no, it might not look anything like this on the exterior, but when you come in here, maybe without even being told, I want you to know that this is Tiana's. So it feels appropriate to do something really fun for her and bring in like the Louisiana atmosphere interiorly, so I like it. Her room, though, was a struggle again, because I'm trying to think about like what style of furniture I used. I was originally using those two end tables from Island Living, and I got rid of those. They don't really go with the room. The wood tone was more what I was going for, but yeah, they don't fit with this room at all. So we're gonna switch those out later on. I actually think I replaced all of them with the Discover University ones that look like mini desks. Love those. I also felt like it would be really appropriate for Tiana to have her own private kitchen in her room, because if you remember, for this Disney save, she owns Tiana's Palace. So she's going to need a little bit of space to either test new recipes, maybe work a little bit privately. She doesn't want to be down in the main kitchen cooking all the time. She would rather like hang out in her room. Her and Naveen are like trying out new recipes. And I felt like that would be something that is so her. Yes, again, like a little bit of a modern concept, but that room is so big that there was just enough room to do like a really cool little apartment style area. So I wanted to tuck that little corner in there and have it be a cute little kitchen. I don't even think there's a stove. It's just like a fridge, a sink. So it would be like really basic meals, and she would have to go down to the big kitchen for something a little bit bigger and more elaborate. But I could totally see the two of them doing that. It really fits in with her personality a lot. And that, I think, is going to complete their room. A little bit of frog references, obviously bringing in the greens a lot. This is going to be one of those builds where, I mean, for any of these Disney builds, though, you could say this. If you don't like me overdoing, like, the idea of, like, green all over the place, like, if you're not a green interior type of person, you're really just not going to like the interior on this at all. However, I think it's important to almost make them themed in a way that feels a little bit overdone, because that's so Disney to just do something where it's like nobody would really decorate their home like this in real life, but it feels like it is appropriate for the movie. Like if you walked in, there would be lots of green and lots of yellow pops and natural trees and beautiful like Louisiana flowers and stuff like that. So I think that is going to be mostly their room. The other two spaces that we have up here are also bedrooms. So this is actually a 3-bedroom mansion. And yeah, it's a little bit big to be a 3-bedroom mansion. You would think you'd be able to fit probably 5 or so bedrooms in here. But to be fair, the atrium did take up a good portion. And then I decided that I wanted the other room that faces that beautiful patio that comes out to be the master bedroom. So I wasn't going to chop that up at all. And then Tiana's room facing the windows, like the way that it ended up working out, the layout just made a lot more sense to keep it at 3 bedrooms. And I was also kind of thinking, who would even come here? Who would I be building bedrooms for? Like, why would she need more than 3 bedrooms? And I couldn't think of anybody. Charlotte literally lives right across the way, so it's not like Charlotte's going to come over all the time because she could walk home. It would take 2 seconds. Not that that's very Charlotte at all. She probably would be like, no, I'll just stay here because I don't want to walk in the dark. However, the one person or people that I could think might be staying in the home is Tiana's mother, potentially moving out either if James passed away or just to stay on occasion, or she like didn't want to be alone, or Naveen's parents. So Naveen's parents are royalty. I don't know their names, obviously. I don't even remember the country that they in the movie are technically in charge of, but I figured probably if they lived in Louisiana, she's got the restaurant here and Naveen is here helping her run it, the royal family might come into town from time to time, and it's probably more appropriate for them to stay in a beautiful mansion than it is like a hotel. So I wanted them to have a really extravagant guest bedroom that they could come and stay in, or possibly put them inside of the family. So I think I'm going to create Naveen and Tiana as like a couple that lives here. And then I might make Naveen's parents as extra downloadable Sims that you can throw into the game or throw into this family if you want to. And that's like an idea that came to me recently as something that could be an option for characters that I wasn't sure where to put them, or I'm not sure if I'm going to include them. Maybe I can create a couple of extra households and people can pick if they want them in their particular house. Like if you really, really want Naveen's parents and you would like to see me create them, then maybe I can add them as like an extra household that you could download and put them available so that they could be added. So I think that's what I'm going to do. The only problem with trying to do like somebody that's royalty is, first of all, we have like very limited shots of the two of them. So I could probably get their likeness, but their clothing would be such a nightmare to do. And there really isn't too many pieces in the game as far as like Maxis Match, Cass stuff goes that feels very royal. Like there's no crowns, which is such a disappointment for a lot of these Disney princesses. Obviously, the one thing that's going to be missing from their outfits is like a crown or a really, really big extravagant ball gown. Nothing like that. I understand why they don't have stuff like that, but for doing this, it is going to be a little bit of a problem, which is also why I feel like I'm going to create custom content versions of these Sims and put them on the website as well, and have like a list of CC if you want like their real true Maxis Match versions that I would particularly want in my save file. And if we could somehow create a sim and have custom content and like link it all into one sim and make that available for download, that is how I would have done this save file to begin with. So again, I think that's all stuff that's going to end up going on the website, and if I'm not explaining everything well, I'll try and explain it again in the future when it is a little bit more apparent. But this is going to be their room. It does open up directly out onto this beautiful patio. I actually decided to use the furniture from, I think it was Realm of Magic, which is this like gorgeous Art Deco kind of style. Actually, I don't know if it's Art Deco. I don't think it is. It's like, it reminds me of Sailor Moon. That's how I've described it in the past. It looks very serene, elegant, magical moon girl power. So I love it, but some of the furniture that comes with it definitely looks a little bit more exterior to me. And it does have that like elegant look to it. So the beautiful white furniture out on the patio there with the cover, so you're good from the rain. But I would always worry about that stuff in real life. I don't know how anybody buys white patio furniture because the rain and the nastiness coming into it just sounds like a bad idea to me. But The rest of the room have a little bit of a living room area, a private piano, a fireplace. I think we ended up putting another fireplace downstairs. Here you get to see me decorating more of the atrium. There's nothing really in it. In real life, you would be able to obviously like fill it with something if you wanted to put birds or butterflies, or you just want it to have it. Some people like to keep really big plants in like a beautiful little atrium space, and you can see the tree a little bit better. It does go all the way up through the different levels, and I just think it's an interesting thing. So we've got the door as well to go in there. I figured even though you probably have no reason to go in there, in real life you would have a door to be able to like access it, maybe water the plants, take care of an animal if it was in fact in there in any kind of way. And also, I did like the idea that Tiana and Naveen probably have a really great connection to the bayou and just to animals in general after their experience, because I think they do show clips after the movie of them being able to hang out with their crocodile friend, whom I cannot remember the name of. Again, I'm sorry, but they're like hanging out with him, and I was thinking when it happened, they must not be able to talk to him anymore or understand him, which is a little bit of a sad thing. However, them knowing him and having had that experience together would be really cool for them to be still able to interact with different animals and stuff like that. So I figured they might have like a magic connection to animals, and maybe animals want to come and stay in the home and they come and stay in the atrium. So cool, fun idea. Probably won't use it again in like different builds, but I like it. I'm not sure what you guys are going to think about it. I'm feeling like defensive about it. Like I have to explain why I chopped this mansion up to do like an atrium, but a lot of you, I hope, will enjoy it anyway. This is the kitchen, really, really big kitchen. I wanted it to be that way. Obviously, Tiana has to have like a grand kitchen. It ended up taking up most of the office space because originally I was going to use this as like a kitchen and an office. So she had more of a little area for business stuff, maybe paperwork, stuff like that. But then again, I was like, I don't know what I would do with that space. It would feel a little bit empty if there wasn't a computer in there, and I didn't want to add a computer because of the time period. So it would have ended up just being a room that had nothing in it but books and papers and maybe some like bookshelves, and it would have felt more like a library, maybe something that you don't use very often, kind of like a dead space in the home, which for a mansion feels a little unnecessary. So we decided to go instead with the dining table, and I have combined two skinny long dining tables together to make one really big one because we don't have any. I just want like a really big, tall, square dining table that would be beautifully perfect. I don't know why we don't have something like that already, but this is pretty much standard for me. I hate how small the dining tables are in The Sims. Hate them. So I usually combine two together to make like a really cool giant one. And it is going to be a little tight in here. I actually have not play tested this house, so I do have to. Don't be surprised if there are a couple of small changes that get made so that it is completely functional, because the chairs are always a little tricky. They slide like the chairs back, and it makes it so that you can't walk, obviously. So got to make sure that everything is functioning really properly in here. I don't think there's anything too interesting about the kitchen or about the rest of the home. The other thing that is like, this is a little bit funny and a little bit interesting. This is actually a one bathroom, which again, I know that this is a mansion and it doesn't make a lot of sense. Like in something like this, real life, you'd probably have like a bathroom per bedroom. And that was originally the idea. But I think adding the atrium cut the upstairs in such a weird way that adding a bathroom would have made the layout of all of the bedrooms really funny, and I didn't like it at all. I did play around with like a layout that looks similar to that, so I decided it would just be okay to have the one bathroom downstairs, and just have it be like a bigger bathroom, and everybody can use that one, and it's gonna be fine, okay? Because the other thing too is that Tiana she doesn't come across as like a very lavish type of person. Like she enjoys simplicity, she enjoys working hard for things, and I'm not sure how this mansion was purchased, if it was like Naveen being like, no, I need like a mansion, or if obviously she's had so much success at the restaurant that it is working and she is able to purchase something like this, or a combination of the two. But I feel like she wouldn't be bothered by it. She would be like, oh, it has one bathroom, like that's fine. And it just wouldn't be something that would like work her up. She wouldn't need like 12 bathrooms in her house. And that's also why she ended up going on the smaller lot, because I don't think she would be the type of person that would be bothered by the fact that like her mansion is smaller than the mansion next door. So we've got one bathroom. That's my really long explanation for that. It's gonna be okay. And the other thing I could have done, and this was like another possibility, was to cut this living room in half and do 2 bathrooms. But then again, we have 2 bathrooms right next to one another. It felt like a frat house or like a dorm. It didn't make any sense. I didn't like it. So we're just going to go with that and have instead this really large, beautiful living room where we've got lots of cool stuff. So like the bookcases, 2 little seating arrangements, again with the Discover University fireplace. The art I think is from Get Famous, really works in here. Same curtains throughout the entire build. Those are the, oh my god, what is that pack called? The Vintage Glamour Stuff curtains, which do annoy me because I love to use them on these windows, but if I want to put 3 next to one another, then I like to have the one that faces right, the one that faces left, and then one in the middle that would probably face like middle. Does that make sense? Where it would be tied more in the middle, but they only have the left and right facing one, so I always have to come up with a fix for that. Curtains are annoying in The Sims, we all get it. And the bathroom is very simple. I did include the furnish just kind of for fun, keeping it a little bit more 20s inspired with like the clawfoot bathtub and the older style sink, the older style toilet, and minimal decoration in here, nothing too interesting. And that is actually going to be the end of the build. So we've got a few screenshots at the end here. Actually, I think quite a bit of screenshots. Thank you guys all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the longer video. Let me know what you thought of Tiana's mansion and if you're excited to see Tiana and Naveen created in sim form for the save file. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more. Hit that little bell icon below to turn on post notifications so you can get updated every single time I post, and I will talk to you all in the next one.